Good morning or afternoon, folks, as it were. Welcome to the 2022 Acura MDX Type S.
Type S.
Type S. If you were in Canada, you might say it's the Type SA. If you're on the Inland Empire like we are today, it might be the Type SA. It's the same thing.
Same pronunciation.
Same pronunciation, both ways. This thing, I even like the color. Copper.
Color looks really good.
Copper.
I'm not a big
great.
Gold copper person,
Right.
but this looks pretty awesome.
It is good. It has flake. It has
a lot of
depth. Copper's coming back, people. And in this video, we're going to answer a couple of very important questions. One, why aren't you thinking about the Acura MDX when you think about an SUV? Some people are. They sell a lot of them. Maybe you should be. They're pretty good, actually. And is the Type S more than just a badge and an appearance package? Short answer, yes it is. How much? We'll tell you in a second. Lastly, very important, if you are a sports car enthusiast who needs a 3-row SUV for your family or for your everyday life, will this satisfy you dynamically?
Will this keep you from dying inside?
Right.
As you transport your family around.
Right.
Will you stop thinking about them as the people that stole your race car dreams?
Right.
Right.
Can you keep your enthusiast soul while having 3 rows? Lastly, of course, should you consider one versus the German competition, which, like Germans' sense of humor, is stiff. Folks, you know, investing in blue chip artwork is typically the kind of enterprise reserved for the very, very rich. How are you going to get down on a Banksy, a Basquiat, a Warhol, a Picasso, unless you have 8, 9, 10 figures in the bank? I'm talking 3 commas, folks. These artworks could be worth millions or tens or hundreds of millions of dollars on their own. Regular folks like you and I, even upper middle class folks, just can't get in on that kind of action until now with Masterworks. Masterworks allows you to very easily buy shares of blue chip artwork. In fact, Zack and I, acting as TheSmokingTire, just bought a share, in fact, 25 shares of a Banksy painting this morning. We're putting our money where our mouth is. And frankly, the process couldn't have been easier. I went to masterworks.art/TST. I made an account, gave them some personal information, connected my bank account, or you can also connect a debit or credit card, and made the investment with just a couple of clicks. The whole thing took under 10 minutes, and I am now in the fine art game. Although contemporary art pieces have appreciated at 14 to 1% from 1995 to 2021, Masterworks' track record between 2019 and 2022 has been 14.3%, beating even regular art prices. And those prices typically at this level will beat the stock market over time. So skip the wait list, go to masterworks.art/TST, make an account for yourself, learn how to invest in a previously unavailable asset class. Hit the link in the video, make sure to read the disclosures before investing, and now enjoy this video. The MDX is the most expensive non-NSX Acura ever. This one.
Well, this has the advanced package. This
right.
is the MDX Type S plus the advanced package. Basically the most expensive one you can get. This is $72,000.
Yes, but you do get quite a lot. You get a completely different engine from the regular MDX. It's the one that's shared with the TLX Type S, which, if you haven't seen that video, and not many if you did, I did it at Laguna Seca. That thing's got a 3-liter twin-scroll turbo V6. Pretty hot little motor. 355 horsepower at 5,500 RPM, which is a gain of 65 versus the regular MDX. 354 pound-feet of torque at 1,400 RPM. Nice power band spread, 4,000 RPM power band there. And that's a plus 87 torque versus the regular MDX. That's really noticeable power gain.
Yeah, plus twin scroll turbo, so it's responsive.
Yeah.
And it has 6-bolt mains
Yeah.
and forged internals. So
right.
This is like Busy Motor. Like, we filmed his Odyssey van on this road a long time ago.
Yeah.
This is like his next project for a 1,000 horsepower
right.
carrier.
Yeah, it's a very tough motor, actually. They bragged about how tough this motor was in the TLX Type S, and it's basically like tuner ready.
Kind of, right?
Yeah, it's a squared off motor, the bore and stroke.
I look forward to seeing one of these on this versus that maybe next year.
Like 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
10-speed automatic gearbox, and for the Type S, the gearbox isn't just retuned for faster shifts. It actually has different hardware.
Yeah.
They put different stuff in there.
They put like a hardened gear set.
Yeah.
Stronger gear set.
Which is like, they didn't have to do that.
Well, it's good.
It's good.
That means they probably tested the new engine with the old gear set and it blew it up, and instead of passing that down to the consumer,
right,
2002 WRX, they hardened the gear sets.
Right. The Type S also gets adaptive air suspension, so it has an adaptive damper and an air spring, height adjustable and stiffness adjustable, 50 millimeters up from normal mode in the high mode, which they emphasize is for snow or mud or water and not rock crawling.
Yeah.
I believe them.
It's for getting you out of a situation. It's only good to 37 miles per hour, but it's like, it's not Baja mode.
No.
It's just get you out of the snow and then go back to normal.
Right. Or it drops 15 millimeters in the Sport Plus. Plus it has auto load leveling, right? So it keeps you level when you've got a bunch of stuff in the car. The Advanced package, which is about $6,000, adds the heads-up display, surround view cameras, this lovely Milano leather with massage seats. Massage seats are very good. And a 25-speaker, 1,000-watt ELS 3D studio audio system, which is banging.
Yeah.
It is a banging stereo. It's, as far as like stereos in cars under $100,000, it's about as good as I've ever heard. The Type S variant also gets 4-piston front Brembo brakes with fixed calipers, double wishbone front suspension architecture, retuned electric power steering, retuned gearbox, as we said, plus an aluminum hood, aluminum front fenders, aluminum shock towers. They move the battery to the trunk.
Right.
So those mods shift the weight distribution to the rear, making it less nose heavy. They also give it the electro servo brake controller from the NSX. Whether or not you think electric boosted brakes are good is up to you to decide. When they work fine, they work fine.
Yeah.
And the idea being that it can compensate for fade, giving you a more consistent pedal feel.
So your pedal's basically always going to feel the same,
Yeah.
even if there's fade or the fluid's getting hot. But what I've noticed in the NSX is that it means you're not feeling the change in brake.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to. They assume it's going to be consistent all the time.
They want you to feel consistency. Frankly, I'd prefer to feel the inconsistency and adjust accordingly.
I agree.
But, you know, that's an engineering choice that they made. Most people, average folks, would probably prefer to have it this way.
Yeah.
And more importantly, not more importantly, but for some of you it will be very important, this thing is designed, engineered, and developed in America. It's got a Japanese badge, but it is American car, actually.
Yeah, it is.
So
Much like the NSX.
Let's see how it drives. Let's go Sport Plus.
Sport Plus.
Sport Plus mode. You can also have an individual mode where you can program your own parameters, which we will. I will evaluate Zack's ability to program an individual mode on the way back. Zero to 60, 5.6 seconds. Quite a pleasant sounding engine.
It is. They did a good job. It's a 3-liter V6, so it's not 3.5. I feel like the bigger the V6, the more
gruff.
The gruffer
Right.
and more offensive the
Right.
noise tends to get.
V6s, like 3.0 is kind of the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
High 2s, low
Yeah,
3s.
2.9 is the Ferrari V6, of
Yeah.
course.
But it's got a really nice, it's not overbearing at all. It's not even loud, but it has a pleasant tone.
Which I believe is, you can also adjust the tone, meaning, you know, how much of it is coming through the speakers, but
Yeah.
this feels more natural from the front. The transmission shifts really quickly and smoothly
Give me a downshift.
when you're in like full throttle. Let me go up one, because we redlined like 62, so let's go down from 36.
Oh, that's fast.
Pretty quick.
That's fast.
Pretty
Now,
quick.
yeah.
In the ups.
At first, I thought the digital tack was kind of lying to us, but no, it really did. It did. I could feel it shift.
Now, even when you're cruising around, though, I've noticed, even if you're in Sport Plus, the shifts are a little bit lazier, because it seems like it's focused or based more on your throttle position and kind of how aggressive you're driving.
Well, that might be for the best.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just something I noticed versus like, I think PDK, you pull that paddle, it moves the gear shift immediately.
Yeah, I mean PDK is the gold standard of transmissions, and that might be a bit of an unfair comparison. Ooh, rock.
So I have steering, I think it's in sport mode now, which around town feels too heavy, but out here actually feels pretty correct. And it's a variable ratio, E-Pass system. So it quickens up a little bit.
Ooh, I could feel like the load up on that corner there and then the stick. That's like a good kind of double wishbone front situation.
Yeah, we have square stance, 21-inch wheels, I think 245. 275 all around 40s.
Conti something contacts.
Yeah, this is like a dinner with racers commercial. It's like driving our Acura on Continental tires.
Yeah.
It does feel pretty even.
Good balance.
Going downhill, like uphill, you'll probably notice the all-wheel drive more, which can send like 70% of the power to the rear and 100% of that to either side.
Yeah, we drove the MDX A spec, the lower one, at the Bridgestone Ice Driving School on snow and ice with Blizzaks on them.
58 on snow.
And the weight transfer, the ability to shift power around with your right foot and shift the weight around with the brakes and the steering, pretty good on loose surface actually.
Yeah,
I do recommend Blizzaks in the winter. Like if you're going to be driving in snow and ice, these are all seasons, and they'll probably get you home very carefully. But this thing on a set of Blizzaks was a beast.
Yeah, it just felt like a big rally car. It felt really good. I want to just do like a pole in second.
Sure.
So many speeds.
Oh,
10
wow.
speeds.
10 speeds, and it's got quite the cushion. Like you just tried to downshift at 45 from third to... Oh my God.
Still won't let me.
So from 4, it won't let you downshift to second. How slow do you have to go to get second?
Still won't. 3,000. Oh.
Wow, you had to be down at 3,100 or so to get second gear.
And it was a jump of 1,500 RPM. So we had the room, but it
didn't do it. Yeah, so conservative downshift tuning.
Got a boost gauge I'll never look at. I've got a G meter that I'll never look at. I love the things you can look through.
Allegedly.
Settled pretty quickly.
Allegedly, if you leave it in Sport Plus mode with automatic gearbox, it will go to the lowest available gear at all times. So that's different than listening to you trying to get it to go down, but allegedly that's the case. I think we're about to be at the end of this road.
All right, well, I will turn around and let you drive.
I want to see if Zack can program an individual mode.
Well, I had to hack into the mainframe. I really had to do a lot of programming.
All right, so let's go press the center button down, and Zack's individual mode, engine sport.
So this might be a good time to talk about the
touchpad, which I don't love.
Right.
We are, this car, I believe, is what we could call peak button. This car has a lot of features and functions.
Yeah.
There's probably 20 buttons for the climate control, which I'm fine with.
Including the seats and massage seats.
Massage seats, which I will activate. Massage seats are good. Heated and cooled massage seats, love it. There's
13 on the wheel. I counted them. Yeah.
13 buttons on the wheel. There's 6 on the side of the dash here. And the screen is not a touch screen. It's a little too far away to be a touch screen anyway. So you have this touch pad that you can get used to. It's not my favorite way to control stuff.
I agree. I prefer the pucks because what I don't like about this control pad is when you like drag your finger to suspension, if you let go, it goes away. Yeah. It doesn't like remain there and you hit tap. So like you said, if I got used to that, it might be all right, but it's just not as good as a puck.
So Zack's individual setting: engine sport, steering normal, suspension normal, start stop off, gauges in sport, lighting in sport.
That's important.
Yeah.
Red lights behind the speakers.
Red lights are clutch. Oh, backlit speaker, absolutely. So we'll go to sport gearbox, manual driving. Steering in normal mode is pretty light. Pretty light.
It is. This was my aggressive around town setting. Soft suspension.
This is how I like to set it. You think we can just like launch? I mean, load up, and here we go. Rear's up.
Oh, and if you I should have changed it. You can change the right menu to show you the all-wheel drive system to show where the torque is going.
Let me guess. It moved
It probably went to the back.
Probably went to the back. The V6 is a transverse, but despite that, it can send quite a lot of power to the back.
Yes, I think 70% of power can go to the rear, of torque.
What I'm noticing right away is that the suspension's doing a nice job. Whoa, a little negative G there. Doing a nice job of controlling the body roll, but not eliminating it. Right? I can still feel the weight transfer, but I know it's going to get through the corner.
Right. They actually use softer sway bars in this than the regular MDX, which I thought was interesting, but they just felt like it was more compliant and then led to more control. So it might have more lean versus other companies where they make it as stiff as possible or as flat as possible.
We're going to make a gap. Did we talk about how nice these seats are yet?
We did not.
These seats are great.
Yes.
Super adjustable. Adjust the thigh bolster, adjust the lumbar, adjust the lateral bolster, plus the massage. But really good seats.
The density, the foam is so good, and the shape is great. I mean,
their seat people have
really
figured
good.
It out.
Yes.
I also really like the visibility on all sides. Very easy to park, very easy to maneuver, good to see out of. I like the comfort mode on the freeway. It is a little floaty. Zack likes the normal mode a little better, but I think on the really bad roads, comfort is good. The electro servo brakes are interesting. They feel, it's very tight, it's very immediate. It feels like they're applying a little more pressure than my foot is applying, especially coming out of the Mercedes EQS last week that needed so much brake input. It's like the opposite of that.
This is like, this is to power brakes what power brakes were to manual brakes.
Yeah, they're almost over boosted. And as we learned at the U-turn, they still felt tight, but they were getting a little smoky.
Yeah, they had a little bit of smell when we got done. You do get like these larger 4-piston Brembos versus the 2-piston that come on the regular MDX. So they have put some attention to all the different important parts if you want to drive this thing kind of quickly.
I really like the feel of it once it's loaded through a corner. So like when we bend it into this corner and it leans on this outside front shock, being able to adjust it there, I like that very much. It's actually pretty fun to hustle through a corner. The steering is really pretty communicative, especially for electric power steering in an SUV. The shifts themselves are very responsive, both up and down. Supposedly 40% quicker. Wow, the downshifts, as long as you've got enough room for the gear.
A lot of room, though, at least for me to go to 3 to 2.
Only 3 to 2.
So 3 to 2.
So look, if I go up to 4, right? I can go down to 3 from 4. It's really only the 3-2.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. 3, 4, 5 are not only closer spaced together, but less conservative with the gap it makes.
Right, they're more protective, maybe.
Yeah, how interesting, right? Let me. I don't want to sit behind this van anymore. Yeah. So let's see. Turning radius
does not have rear steer.
Does not, and the turning radius is decent, but not exceptional.
I mean, it's a pretty big vehicle.
Yeah.
So.
It feels like quick enough. It's certainly not super fast. No. I think a tuned one could be pretty fun.
Yeah.
With like bigger turbo or whatever. It does weigh 4,750 pounds.
The power number is like directly competitive with the other cars in this space. Like all of the Q7, X5, they all make within like 5 horsepower of each other.
Yeah. And it's not meant to be a competitor to AMG or M or RS. It's compared to the Germans' middle offerings, really.
Yeah, no, this is in line with like the X5 M40, not the X5M.
Right. Okay. Well,
I think we got the gist for driving.
We got the gist of it. Look, honestly, I like it. I mean, criticisms about manually downshifting from third to second, that's a pretty specific thing.
Yeah. And 99% of buyers won't care.
Right. I like this beautiful big panoramic roof, and with the white interior, it gives you a very airy, spacious cabin.
Yeah, it's got a good greenhouse.
If I was going to go 1,000 miles in something, this would be a great opportunity, a great option. Zach's about to go 700 miles to Laguna Seca and back in this thing, and this is a great car.
Very good.
Radar cruise works well. The stereo, the multimedia system. It's got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto.
The lane keep assist is a little bumper bowling. It's not that accurate.
That could be
like
better.
I'm thinking the cons.
Yeah,
that's one of them. The amount of buttons, which they're not confusing. It's just like it's not the most beautiful interior compared to like BMW. The Audi, it looks much nicer and like it's the view towards the future, whereas this is definitely kind of designed 10, 15 years ago, and it's just like, well, it still works.
Right. And if you don't like touchscreens, this is great.
True.
It's great, but it does require sort of memorizing where buttons are, especially on the steering wheel. The steering wheel is kind of a tricky one. Fortunately, nothing too crucial on the steering wheel except for the cruise control and the volume, but that is requires a little more focus in the beginning at least. So to answer where we started, is this significantly different from a regular MDX? I think so. Yeah. I think you get your money's worth in the Acura family. I mean, even though it's the most expensive regular Acura ever, it justifies its price point with real stuff. Is it going to make someone happy enough who wants a sporty or sports, crossover or SUV? What do you think? Does it have the sports car bona fides?
I think it does the things you expect. If you have realistic expectations and it's a 5,000-pound SUV, but the front and back do the right things, the damping's fine.
Yeah.
Then yeah,
it's got good balance. It's responsive. It's quick enough. It's not misery to go through a canyon. You can have some fun in it. And to get one versus the Germans, I feel like you kind of have to. It's sort of an alternative. It's like you would get this if you didn't want one of the German ones.
Right. I did a bunch of pricing configuration, like the BMW X5, the Q7. Like this is priced right with them. This is not $6,000 cheaper.
Not the value choice.
If you want the Q7 with basically the same features except massage seats, it's right in line. Massage seats in that car are like $6,000 more dollars, but the BMW is like exactly the same.
I might trust this longer term.
Right. It's a lease versus a buy because there's a website like Repair Pal, like basically Consumer Reports kind of grades these. Q7 gets a 2.5 out of 5 stars, but this gets a 4.
Yeah. I mean they've shown the toughness with the engine. I trust that engine, and I think the sort of slightly simpler nature of the rest of this stuff could be better in the long term.
True.
Plus, I like the stereo. That's worth it. So thank you to Acura for letting us have a go. Thanks to you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.